Episode 2 of President Curtis feels like another outrageous supernatural adventure filled with monsters and secret prisons. But beneath all the jokes about Dracula, the Loch Ness Monster, and Amelia Earhart running a prison inside the Bermuda Triangle lies a clear message about the dangers of treating entire groups as monsters. The ending reveals that the real villain was never one of the supernatural inmates, it was the man trusted to guard them. Throughout most of the episode, Warden Ken Jeffries appears to be the kind of military leader President Curtis would admire. He's disciplined, patriotic, and a decorated Marine. Curtis trusts him, and that turns out to be Jeffries' greatest weapon. While everyone believes prisoners are escaping the facility, nobody is helping them escape. Those listed as dead in prison records were being taken to the mysterious East Wing, where Jeffries conducted experiments on them. He believed monsters were incapable of rehabilitation and therefore had no right to exist. To Jeffries, extermination was the most efficient solution. His twisted scream harvesting experiments were another justification for carrying out what was genocide under the guise of scientific research. Jeffries becomes obsessed with Monsters, Inc., believing monsters should produce screams as an energy source. But he completely misses the movie's actual message. In the movie, monsters eventually discover that laughter is more powerful than fear. Jeffries remembers only the prison-like factory and scream extraction, ignoring the lesson that compassion replaces cruelty. That summarizes his character. He sees only what reinforces his own worldview, everything else is discarded. His entire prison system functions the same way. Instead of asking whether every supernatural creature deserves punishment, he assumes they're all irredeemable. One of President Curtis's biggest flaws is him judging people based on whether they remind him of himself. The moment Jeffries reveals he served in the Marines, Curtis lowers his guard. Banks notices suspicious behavior. Jeffries avoids certain prison wings. He redirects inspections. His explanations grow uncomfortable. Curtis ignores every warning because he believes another Marine must share his values. The episode forces Curtis to admit he allowed personal loyalty to override his judgment. And the man he trusted most becomes the episode's greatest monster. O'Doyle begins the episode believing every prisoner deserves to remain locked away forever. After all, the Triangle houses vampires, ghosts, monsters, aliens, and countless supernatural threats. But his perspective changes. The telepathic swamp creature recognizes O'Doyle as an undercover operative. Instead of exposing him, it helps him. That simple act challenges O'Doyle's assumptions. By the ending, he realizes that some prisoners are dangerous, others simply happen to be different. The episode argues that justice requires judging individuals, not condemning entire groups based on what they are. Banks spends the episode struggling with control. Her internal behavioral software constantly limits what she's allowed to do. Whenever she breaks protocol, her own systems punish her. Eventually, she overrides those restrictions to save Curtis. Unfortunately, her first act with unrestricted access accidentally opens every prison cell, which is exactly what exposes Jeffries' crimes. Without the mass breakout, Curtis never learns what was happening inside the East Wing. The prison's greatest secret survives only because everyone follows procedure. Banks saves the day only after choosing to trust her own judgment instead of blindly obeying rules. It's another contrast with Jeffries, who also believes rules should be ignored but only to satisfy his own ideology. Banks breaks rules to protect people, Jeffries breaks rules to destroy them. The episode jokes about the enormous triangular monument decorating Jeffries' office. As Jeffries attempts to escape, the trophy falls and impales him. Jeffries' death accidentally creates the breakthrough he spent years trying to achieve. Rather than harvesting screams, his experimental canister absorbs the irony of his death. Only President Curtis could end a serious confrontation by introducing irony as a supernatural energy source. Amelia's promotion represents the opposite philosophy from Jeffries. She understands danger, she spends decades navigating one of Earth's strangest locations, but unlike Jeffries, she doesn't view every prisoner as beyond saving. The telepathic swamp creature begins teaching other inmates so they can earn their GEDs. The prison shifts away from torture toward rehabilitation. Security still exists, dangerous monsters remain imprisoned, but they're treated like living beings instead of disposable experiments, and the prison becomes fairer. Although episode 2 is packed with supernatural creatures, it asks one question: who is the real monster? At first glance, the answer seems obvious. The prison is full of vampires, ghosts, and legendary creatures. By the ending, however, the worst monster inside the triangle isn't supernatural, it's Warden Jeffries. He hides behind patriotism. He believes entire groups deserve extermination. He convinces himself cruelty is necessary leadership. Meanwhile, several of the so-called monsters display compassion, intelligence, and empathy throughout the episode. The telepathic swamp creature protects Old Oil. Many prisoners want dignity. Amelia chooses rehabilitation instead of revenge. Even Curtis learns that judging people by labels instead of actions almost led him to support horrific crimes. Episode 2 argues that being human isn't what separates heroes from monsters, it's the choices they make. Jeff Reese believed monsters could never change. The ending proves the exact opposite. Some monsters can become better. Sometimes the humans are the ones who become monsters.